Located on the corner of Lewis and Barr Streets, Central High School was constructed in 1902. This neoclassical-style landmark was designed by Charles Weatherhogg, a British architect, whose influence is seen throughout the building, especially in the intricate stonework carvings that provide contrast with the smooth limestone finish.
It's very, very grand neoclassical building created by Charles Weatherhogg as the major downtown high school. Central High School probably is significant as the best example of school buildings as works of civic art. In the late 19th century, the school buildings went from being strictly utilitarian buildings to being more and more grandiose expressions of civic aspiration along the lines of what was well established as the proper way to do things like courthouses, for instance.
This was one school where it didn't seem to matter which part of town you lived in. There was just a feeling of camaraderie. I'm sure you've heard that from everybody you've spoken to about this school. Bobby Dessauer, whose father was one of the starters of Wolf and Dessauer, and was a very good friend, didn't seem to notice any difference between the kids that she grew up with there or the kids who walked in from the East End. I mean, everybody was a friend. Your best friend's father could be a railroader, or your mother could be a maid in somebody's house. It didn't matter. It really didn't seem to matter.
This building really taught me to be the kind of person who has a strong volunteer spirit. I spend most of my retired life volunteering one way or another in this city. And I think that spirit was engendered by the people that were here, by the kinds of families I worked for and with at that particular time. I think this building probably made me the kind of citizen I have been.
Well, I had many friends when I was going to Southside High School who went to Central High, loads of them, and a lot of the kids that lived in the West End went to Central High, and I knew them well, and I remember the rivalry in the basketball and football games.
The school really became a school in 1904. So in 1954, in the spring of '54, when I was finishing my first year of teaching, I was asked by the principal and a committee that was planning a huge pageant for the spring of '54 to celebrate the 50th year if I would write and deliver a monologue about my initial experience here. I have no idea what all I said, and that speech has long fled. But I do remember the first sentence because I thought it was so declarative and so meaningful and so serious. And I remember standing in the middle of the stage, and I was, 21, 22. I remember standing there with all this authority and saying, I am a teacher. And up in the balcony where the freshmen and sophomores were, and my home room was in that particular spot, I remember lots of cat calls and oh yeah, and ho ho ho.
You had friends whom you saw. There were rivalries between the high schools, of course. Northside was all right. We tolerated Northside. Southside was the bitter, bitter enemy. And I know that Southsiders thought of Central as the bitter enemy. That was a real rivalry, like Purdue and IU, Ohio State, Michigan.
But I like to think that there was something about being here with the families that sent their children here, with the kind of people I taught with. It was such, for instance, every Friday night there was a dance. In those years, we didn't have a contract we taught by or anything. You just knew on Friday night you went to the cafeteria because you were as interested in watching the Frug, the Glide, whatever they were doing on Friday night then, as the kids were. They were like an extended family. And my husband has often said I spent every Friday night of my newly married life, the first 10 years of my marriage, in Central's cafeteria. I mean, you just went to the ball game and you went to the dance, just like you had done in high school yourself. There was that carryover.
It's frankly amazing that Central High School has survived. Schools are very difficult to create an adaptive reuse for. It's amazing that Central High School has continued all of these years as an educational institution. If there had not been an educational use for that building, it probably would have gone the route of many of the other buildings downtown, many of the other schools. It's very difficult to reuse those buildings.
For years, Central High School served the educational needs of Fort Wayne. It has also provided countless residents fond memories of their high school days. Its current use as a career center ensures that this structure will continue to better students for generations to come.